Yo, what is up YouTube? I'm back with another Catch a Monster. So this is a video on how to how to make a strong team, or just how to make a team in general. Now for starters, I don't mean like, oh, you equip 3 monsters, there's your team. No, I don't mean like that. I actually mean like, if you want to make like strong OP monsters with what you have, because you don't have like all of the metas, like this is how you would go about it. You know what I mean? So all the people asking me like, oh, what should I use? Oh, who should I use? This should hopefully answer like all of y'all's questions and comments and concerns. I will also go over like the best passive teams and stuff like that and everything else. I'm basically going over like really significant monsters that I've like here talked about a lot and everything else. But yeah. So, what I always consider first is their monsters' passives. Alright? Now, I consider their passives, and if their passives are bad or they don't have one, then I look at their skills and see how good their skills are. But it's always, I guess kind of number one thing as well that I always look at is obviously their stats. Because if their stats aren't good, then most of the time I'm not even going to really consider them into my team, because their skills, you know, they could be amazing, but if their stats are like booty, then like, you know, there's no point in really using them. You know what I mean? So example, let's go with let's go with I guess just Void Lunavox. So example, like obviously pretty booty damage, decent damage, but booty damage, especially because she can't damage in the first place. However, her 137 billion HP really makes up for that. So if I have Void Lunavox, right, just for example, it's my best monster, yada yada yada. Okay, I'm trying to think, okay, what do I pair with a Void Lunavox? So for one, Void Lunavox is going to take all the damage majority of the time, right? It's going to heal itself, it's going to give barrier to all your people, it's going to taunt the enemy, right? So it's, but majority of the time it's just like, it's just a damage sucker, you know what I mean? So I want someone who does a lot of damage then, because I would say like 7 out of 10 times they're gonna be going for Void Lunavox first anyways. So this is where you put in your glass cannon. All right, now what I mean by that is, example, I guess Mental Wolf isn't really a good example. I guess a good example would probably be Hydrolope. He's kind of a glass cannon because his HP is only 10 billion. However, his 1.7 billion damage is obviously not entirely accurate because his crit chance, and he hits 5 times. So he's a good example of a glass cannon, which is basically like, oh, going all damage, no defense. So he would be a decent pairing, because I want someone who just does a lot of damage really fast and just, you know, constantly outputs that damage, because Void Lunavox is just there to like take the damage. But obviously Void Lunavox is not like immortal, you know what I mean? She's gonna take damage. So that's what I would use. For example, another good example is you could double up on the defense and just have 2 tanks who just are soaking damage, but the only difference is Frostiel does damage as well. So you could go like blow for blow. I don't recommend this personally, because majority of the time monsters are going to be doing way more damage to you, because it's a 3v1. So the one monster is going to do like a ton more damage than your 3 monsters could do to them. You know what I mean? So personally, I recommend doing the high tank and high damage. And then I personally really like to do is, Frostiel is good because he also provides a lot of stun. But I personally prefer someone who like gives more of a like example, something that pairs better is probably a Scythewing for this team, because he also puts barriers. So if Void Lunavox, but majority of the time they will use barrier first or taunt first. Once they use that barrier, it'll be gone in like whatever, like I don't know, like 5 seconds, and then Scythewing will counter that by using his barrier. You see what I'm saying? And then it also has the stun, and also it places vulnerability on the enemies, making Hydrolope's attacks do way more damage. You see what I'm saying? Like you gotta read these little descriptions for each move, because they actually tell you a lot. Sometimes they don't mark down everything that the move actually does, so you do have to, like, you know, kind of look that up sometimes. But Yeah, and another thing is like Rift Guard, right? So if I want to make a team for like Rift farming, right? I want to find a team that just has a crap ton of Rift boosts, right? So another, like I said, a good example is, well, Hydrolope, right? Sorry, excuse me. Is Hydrolope, because I mean he has decent stats, kind of a glass cannon, and his Rift Guard makes it so that he takes negative 30% damage. Another good boost. All right, now hear me out. It's a very good boost. I forget if anybody else gives this. Oh, I lied. Sorry. Poseidon. Poseidon would probably be next in line because of his 50% rift dominance, but in reality you're just looking for someone who gives 50% rift dominance because it just increases your damage by 50% when you're in a rift. Example is Solron as well. Solron is pretty decent. He's pretty easy to get. If you are just starting off, Solron is a pretty decent guy to go for. He is nowhere near the like monsters now in like the recent times, but he's still a pretty decent guy, you know what I mean? But yeah, so Hydrolope Poseidon basically giving me a negative 30% damage in rifts, plus 50% damage in rifts as well. Now you want to either put a tank, depending on what your monsters are, or you double down and you go full glass cannon. All right, this is also a really good team. Honestly, this might be the best team. Let me think. This might be the best raid team, I believe. I could be wrong in that. I just don't know anybody else who gives negative 30% damage in rifts that I can think of at the moment. Yeah. So I believe this is a like really decent rift farming team, simply because of the negative 30%, the plus 50%, and obviously my avalanche worm giving us a more damage against bosses in rifts. So yeah, so I have an extra 40% damage while in rifts. So I wonder how that works, because it says it doesn't stack, but they're not the same. They're not the same moves, you know what I mean? Like mine is boss slayer. I wonder how that works. I wonder if it stacks at all. I could be wrong in the stacking of that, but you know, maybe not. Yeah, like I said, like I was just talking about, some passives are like not stackable. All passives aren't stackable, but some of them have a little leeway and you can kind of stack them. You know what I mean? Like it's some of them are a little tricky like that. You can kind of stack some of them depending on what their description is, and I'm just here to like really just tell you the differences between them. Now, like I said, when you're building a team, you really have to pay attention to their passives and how well they mesh together. Like you could be a flexible team where you just have a bunch of support units. You can have the hybrid team, which is I personally like, which is you have a support, a tank, and a DPS. A good example of that would be my main team, which is, let's see, not this guy. Here we go. So yeah, a good example of this would be Abyssal Drake, Avalanche Worm, Void, Lunavox, because Abyssal Drake is here for his stun and also his passive is just nice to have. Avalanche Worm is here for his damage. Void Lunavox is obviously here to tank. So this is a good example of a hybrid team. Personally, you guys can do whatever you want. This is just my example of a hybrid team. Like this is just you know what I mean. Like there's 3 roles in my eyes. There's tank, support, and then there's damage. You know what I mean? So that's the example of hybrid. Glass cannon would just be 3 damagers. All tank would just be 3 tanks. It's pretty self-explanatory. You could definitely do 2 DPS, 1 tank. That's definitely doable. Like example, sometimes I would do Maragon, Avalanche Worm, and my Ludavox. You know, the only thing is if the other the other monster actually has like an AoE move, most of the time I'm cooked. That's why I want someone with like a bit more support, just to give us that shield or that extra stun. You see what I'm saying? Because none of them have a stun that is really that good, because like the healing water ball, yeah, it's a good stun, kinda. It doesn't stun them for very long. My ice surge is pretty decent, but sometimes they just attack through that, to be honest. So yeah, you really got to think about these things, and experimenting is like, you know, half of the fun in the game. You know what I mean? Like catching monsters and experimenting with the teams, like experimenting how to make the best teams possible, how to make the best combinations possible. It's really just about that. And then once you get like the monsters and the teams kind of going, that's where you start worrying about shiny and fairy, because you can see how much of a difference like these mutations actually give to your monsters. Example, because my Void Lunavox already has a crap ton of HP, I have Fairy on it, reducing 25% damage taken. So he just eats everything, eats all the damage, everything, bro. Nothing kills him, like nothing kills him. And like my Avalanche Worm, 80% chance to crit. You see what I'm saying? No, obviously that's because of my Maragon, but still 80% chance to crit. And he has a shiny and bloodlet. Bloodlet basically makes it so that his crits are 3 times as much damage, and fairy as well, reducing his cooldowns and reducing the damage he takes. Insane, like insane, absolutely insane. Maragon with the shiny, increasing his his crit chance, and he has 14.3 billion damage, and he has a 5 hitting move, so each one of those hits can like crit. So it's insane. It's insane. You know, there's really no scaling to everything. You can honestly like go as high as you want. I would definitely try to, like, if you're just starting and we want to make a team and you're thinking about like, oh, should I make this double S? Should I make this S? Should I make whatever? I would definitely recommend waiting for update day, because you don't want to make a double S and then realize come update day that there's a way better monster that does the same things that your monster does, but just better. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to like have that like, oh, that big thing, you know, like, oh man, I could have waited for that guy, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, other than that, I think that about covers how to really like make a team, to be honest. Let me know in the comments below if you guys got confused, maybe if I didn't explain something super correct, I guess. And if you guys have any other questions, just let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, guys, if you guys do enjoy my content, I stream every Friday morning, the Catch a Monster update and admin abuse. So you know, tap in if you want to. My Discord will be down below, and if you guys did enjoy my video, you know, maybe leave a like, subscribe, and share. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, I see you guys in the next one. Later.